Hi everyone, welcome back to another weekly challenge. This is number 4. We're attempting to recreate the Apollo 11 mission and the Saturn V launch vehicle. I recreated this as carefully as I could with the tools I had at my disposal. However, I wish I could have made it look, from a paint job perspective, a little bit closer to what the Saturn V actually looked like. There were some issues later down the road where I placed some parts in the wrong order, but it all worked out in the long run. The landing on the Mun isn't exactly as it would have been in Apollo 11, but that's okay. This entire video was filmed in one try. I was quick saving throughout, but was trying to not have to load anything and see if I could finish the mission. Ultimately, I was able to do it through crazy glitches like that fairing just falling down to Kerbin very quickly. Thankfully, it didn't blow anything up. I placed my RCS thrusters. Now that I'm watching it later, I'm realizing they are not in the right places on either of the vehicles. This one, I could have just disabled the pod RCS thrusters and had better control, and on the lander, the RCS thrusters are kind of off axis, so the controls don't work properly, and I have some serious trouble later on the escape rendezvous from the Mun, trying to get the two ships to dock back together, and my control points were messed up a couple times, so I ended up burning in the wrong direction in a few instances. But apparently I have enough fuel to get to make all these mistakes. But yeah, that's another thing I noticed, is that to try to design this ship in this scale that is more accurate to the scale of the actual Saturn V launch vehicle, it has way more delta V than it needs to get to Kerbin, or to get to the Mun and back to Kerbin. So here I'm just like circularizing at around 20 kilometers, but then the orbit is like degrading and it's not stable. So I push the orbit back up to about 40 kilometers and then roughly circularize. At this point, I'm attempting to separate the lander and realizing the lander is not separating from that plate, the engine plate. So I just say, whatever, we're gonna take this whole stage down to the ground with us. I'm convinced this isn't gonna work out, but, well, I'm future me, and it does work out. I don't know if there's any anomalies on the surface of the Mun. I haven't, besides the Mun arch, like other than the Mun arch. So I just picked a random empty flat spot to try to land in. I don't really have a technique for landing. What I try to do is keep my surface speed below what the ground value is. So if I'm at like 2,000 meters from the ground, then I might go 200 meters per second. But if I'm 100 meters from the ground, 10 meters per second. If I'm 5 meters from the ground, 0.5 meters per second. It's like a ratio. We touched down. The camera has been messed up, and no matter what combination of switching camera modes and resetting my camera, did it fix it? The site name doesn't let you put numbers or special characters in it, and it's really frustrating. I wish I could put numbers and special characters in the site name. So I had to use Roman numerals for the name. The camera was just being my enemy. And then at this point, I remembered seeing that I was heading 72 degrees, but then I looked at the map and realized I was pointing the wrong direction. So I had to turn around and get myself going in the same direction as the rendezvous vehicle. It's going to be our return vessel. So I get a circularized orbit that's like 20 kilometers higher than the vessel I'm rendezvousing with. I fix my eccentricity between the two objects so that they are on the same plane, and then I fast forward a little bit until I can get a good intercept. So like within 1,000 meters going 18 meters per second, that's plenty good enough. And this is when I experienced the most trouble with the RCS thrusters, and yeah, hindsight 2020, I realize now why both stages of this vehicle had RCS problems. They're just not in the right places. You have to have them snapped exactly to like up, down, left, and right. If they're off axis at all, like at a 45-degree angle instead of a 90-degree angle, they don't function properly. They can't really direct you up or down. See how they're at a slight angle right now? There's no way for me to actually thrust just up or just down. It's going to use every thruster trying to do that and spin me out of control. And then I didn't realize I could just disable probably the RCS thrusters on the landing pod and have better control on this other vehicle, but they can just smash into each other, and if it's close enough. I think I have that distance turned down as far as it'll go, and it'll still let you dock if you just kind of smash them into each other. I was just fixing my engines there and picking the right one for doing the escape burn, which is the one that's attached to the landing pod, because that can actually be ditched. It has a separator that actually separates later, but we end up having to land with the whole third stage attached to the lander and the re-entry pod. I'm about to run out of fuel on the final stage there. That pops off, and this is all stuck together. And at this point, I'm hoping that both the parachutes on the re-entry vehicle are going to be enough to land safely. And why not try to land at the KSC, but I completely overshoot it and land in the water almost. I land right on the coast of an island. Just happened to do it, or a peninsula, rather. The parachutes deploy. I'm still falling rapidly. I don't know if I'm going to crash head on into the ground. We're at about 20 meters per second. We slam down. Everyone's safe. The mission was a quote-unquote success. Everyone hops out for a final picture in front of their victory. Don't forget to like the video, and if you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. That really helps. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time on the next weekly challenge. Bye.